got terrible fucking news. Hey, come closer. Yeah, closer. Yeah, a little bit closer still. Come on. Okay, yeah. I started making VSTs. So yeah, hey, this has been like the past week and a bit of my life. I got into synth edit and started making a bunch of VSTs of just stuff I've just always wanted to have like quick access to, or yeah, stuff like that. I thought I would do just like a thing quickly where I show you what I got so far, because it's neat. I'm real proud of what I've put together. To cut right to the chase, these will be available for free after my next album comes out, because I'm going to be using them a bunch on that. I think it's only fair that I get to use them a little bit first before everybody else has access to them, because, you know, I think that's pretty fair. Anyways, yeah, so this is the first one. It's called Ambivac. It's a Hoover synth, you know, like a rave Hoover. It's got 4 kind of like sound generators in it. You can see they're all divided by color here. Let me turn down these 3 so you can hear the main one here. This is the Hoover bit. So what you have is it's 3 banks of 5 saw oscillators each. Each of them has one that is tuned down an octave, one that is tuned up an octave, then 3 that are the input note detuned minus 15-ish, plus 15-ish cents, and 0, right? So you have 3 banks of that. So you have 3 copies of that set up running here. When the fat switch is turned on, all of them run at once. You can turn it off though and just have the center one. Gets a little more like Reese when you do that. You can also detune the left and right panned ones. Oh yeah, they're panned left, center, and right, and you can't change that except for mixing them down to mono using this. So let me detune those. Like, and you can just double click to reset those, and you can mix down to mono, like I said. It has 2 filters with a set resonance on them, a low pass and a band pass. So you can kind of sculpt and kind of like, not quite EQ, like it is filtering, but it's more like just like finding the peaks you want to accent the most. And there's a drive here in this circuit particularly, specifically. So you can drive just the Hoover on its own. It's also got this neat thing in here where there's like, it's got an internal feedback, which is a delay-based feedback. And the timing, the time of the delay is also controlled by the note input. So let me turn it up here. It's got this kind of like really grimy sound as a result of the way it's handled. You can change the amount of feedback. You can change the octave. You can change how much the feedback follows your input note. And you can do this thing called feedback bend, where the left and right channels of the feedback just like splay out to be super long instead, and it gets really interesting, neat. Some very squelchy, cool sci-fi sounds in there. You also have a wide dial, which does a couple things. One, it like the left and right channel go like up and down 2 octaves respectively. Which is wound up being more useful than I thought it was going to be. I put it in there as like kind of a gag. I thought it would be fun, and it's kind of a cool sound, especially with the feedback. Like, neat sounds, neat textures. So yeah, there's the Hoover section. As you can see, we have like 3 other sections over here. Or sorry, the VAC section, calling it the VAC because Hoover is like a trademark or whatever. All right, let's move on. We have air up here, which is I think it's a pink noise, might be a white noise. I'll check in a second. Put through like a really resonant filter, and the pitch of the filter is controlled by your input. So it's like you're controlling the filter, which is shaping the noise. Sorry, it might be a little quiet, but It's a pretty quiet thing. I didn't want to boost it too loud because it can get pretty peaky, but it's kind of a nice sound, and really helps fill out the upper harmonics of the Hoover, I think. We've got a bass. It has a filter, again, with a set resonance. Most of the resonances in this are set, just because that's... I was going for a specific thing with this, and that's how it's going to be. That's how it is. And you can change the oscillator on this. Here we got like a pulse, pink noise, sine, saw, triangle, you know, all your basics. You can change the filter type as well. You know, high pass, band pass, band reject, all that stuff. And you can, it's not necessarily only a bass oscillator. This does get you a pretty wide spread of octaves. So you can use it for other things as well. I kind of like setting it to the saw and doing a band pass, and then using this thing down here. This isn't labeled yet, but it sends a sample and hold to like all of the filters on here per note input. Yeah, and then over here we have something that I'm calling high. It's also like internally it's called the Harmonic Oscillator. It is another bank of 4 oscillators, this time tuned to like, I think it's 2 octaves up, another 2 octaves up, and those are detuned slightly, then 3 octaves up and 3.5 octaves up. And its filter is always a band pass. So on this one you can move the octave as well as the semitone. This one's really useful for like, again, really fills out the upper harmonics, especially if you're just running the bass with it. Yep. There's also an LFO here, which is more for texture than anything. So like, this is for the filter here. Yeah, stuff like that. Down below, we have a pitch ADR, which is, it is what you think it is. Oh yeah, and also a portamento control, because you need that. It is monophonic, by the way. This is a mono synth. Monophonic, not monaural. You know what I'm saying. So yeah, the pitch ADR. Here's the attack, decay, and release. There's no sustain on this, just attack and decay. It will always sustain at the root note that you're putting into it. So you can make it go up or down. Right, double click to reset it. Simple stuff. Amp ADSR, it is just, yeah, it's just the volume ADSR. Filter ADSR, so this filters everything. Again, basic stuff. We have the EOE, which does this. It's a bank of 3 bandpass filters, all offset from each other slightly, some of them moving in opposite directions of each other to yeah, get the kind of like formity effect. It's not quite a vowel filter, but it is a bank of filters just kind of doing their thing in there. And these are thankfully also affected by this knob. So you can get like... Very funky. Down here we have the scary part. There's a warning here for a reason. Down here, this can get like really chaotic really fast. There's a bunch of feedback loops down here. And I'm going to be very explicit about this upon release, that this thing can get as loud as it wants to get. I like that because I work with feedback a lot. I think feedback is a fantastic instrument and just thing to have access to. But let's go through these 2 things down here. You have a delay and a reverb. Both of them are mono, but you can pan them left and right. And how it works is you go to the delay circuit first, so everything goes through this, and then to the reverb circuit, right? So if you turn the delay all the way up, you're only hearing the delay. right? If you turn the reverb all the way up, you're only hearing the reverb. If you turn both up, now you're still only hearing the reverb because it happens serially, right? It's not in parallel. It happens one after the other, which seems weird, but trust me, it's very handy, because what happens is when you feed something into the reverb and then into the delay, then the reverb, and kind of pan them out left and right, you get this really nice stereo thing going on, where the reverb's over on one side, the delay's over on the other. Now on the delay, we have our feedback, which can go pretty high, and it'll take a while to drift off. We have resonance filter, secret, which does things. We have a tape circuit as well. This is kind of a tape simulation. It introduces noise and instability into the delay. Let me turn this all the way up. And with the tape circuit and feedback all the way up, you can get like pretty nasty pretty quick. This is your master volume, by the way, off like halfway off the screen over here. So I'm going to turn up the resonance, turn this down, and we're going to pray. Okay, I think it's going to start self-oscillating. Alright, here it goes. And it will get as loud as it wants. Here, I'm just gonna like turn this down. There is a compressor in that circuit, but it really doesn't care. Like, I've done what I can to make it reasonable, but it's like this because this is a tool I made for myself. And these kind of sounds are ultimately useful for what I do. So I'm just gonna leave that turned down, and we're gonna turn... Okay, so there's just it self-oscillating. Very, very pleasant sound. So let's turn that down, hop over to the reverb. It's a basic reverb. Again, mono reverb. So let's just listen to the reverb on its own. So you can filter it coming in, control its size, how much you dampen it. It's really, really basic stuff. But you combine the two and... Oh, it's going. Pretty cool. Yeah, so it does hoovers and it does ambience, hence Ambivac. I'm really happy with this thing. This isn't the final graphics for it either. I'm really looking forward to getting this in like just everything I do, because it does so many things that I just want to do quickly, but I usually have to like get a bunch of like effects shit going and like use 2 or 3 different instances of like a synth or something like that, because there's so many oscillators and blah 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 blah. No, this is right to the point, exactly what I want out of like this tool set. Now we haven't touched this yet because it's horrifying. This regen knob. So what this is this takes this signal and this signal, and it takes this signal and pumps it into that, and this signal and pumps it back into that. And if that sounds scary, it is. It's very scary. This can get extremely loud extremely quickly, hence the warning. But listen to that. Ooh. and this will get as loud as it wants. Again, like, you need to be careful with it, or put like a limiter or something on your master. If you don't know what you're doing with this thing, it gets very nasty very quick. There are some fail safes in here, like the time only goes so short, the resonance only goes so high. There were times testing this thing where it went from 0 to like so loud it stopped producing audio in like fractions of a second, and those issues have thankfully been tamed quite a bit. But yeah, that's Ambivac. This was the first one I started to like work on, and it's definitely the most unique of the bunch, I think. Let's take a look at like the circuit here. You ready to you ready to see my wiring? Oh man. Okay, so here is the here's the synth edit project for it. I know where everything is, and that's what's important. This isn't for like other people. This part isn't for other people to use. I know what it all does, where it all is. I've got a few things containerized, like here's my delay circuit with like, here's all the tape stuff and things like that. Here's the feedback circuit. Here's hell, it's called. This is the like the vowel filter thing. And here are your 3 main oscillators. As you can see, 5 oscillators each, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's a total mess, but it's my mess, and that's what counts, right? I've made others, unfortunately. Oh, that looks good, doesn't it? Okay. My next one was psychic. Get it? Oh wow, that looks great. Stretch to screen, perfect. Yeah, that's great. Anyways, what psychic does is it makes kicks. I wanted something where I could like really quickly sculpt sine wave based kicks using a complex series of volume and pitch envelopes. Well, mostly pitch envelopes, because the volume is just decay, sustain, release. So it's sine waves and only sine waves. But you can hear it's got that Tupperware sound that I really like. You know, the side trance kick. You know, side kick. Get it? Anyways, it's not a good joke. So you have like 3 banks, these ones here. These are your ADSR for the pitch. So you can control the curve from linear all the way to exponential. And you can do that for 2 of these. So you can get like a lot of click out of these. Which usually you got to draw like a complex waveform or some shit like that. Here you just get knobs and it just works. And you know, that's what I wanted out of most of these. It's like I just wanted it to just work. This one down here lets you like set a sustain, so you can like I know it sounds goofy as hell, but if you set a high attack and then like you can kind of get this like you know what I mean? It's got a filter, whoop-de-doo. It's also got a drive in it. Yeah, that's pretty loud. The drive is affected by all the velocity stuff too. So if you turn the sustain all the way up, it holds the drive, but if you don't, the drive decays. So how it works is you have a wave shaper and then a filter, then another wave shaper. And you can control the filter right here. Not really made for like hardcore kicks, but if you just need like a little grit, that's what this is really good for. You know, just add that little texture to your kick. That's not all, because I couldn't stop making these fucking things if I tried. This is Stink Bug. Stink Bug is a very fucking hell, man. Very, very smelly synth indeed. This is just an experimental synth. It's an FM and phase modulation synth where like you have, you know, your carrier, and then you have 2 modulators, which are these big hunkin' bricks down here with all these fucking things. Doesn't matter that my face is in the way because these are like the same. And what it does differently than other FM synths is you get access to, before the modulators affect the carrier. They go through a potentially super resonant filter, which is just gruesome, as well as a delay and feedback. Not like FM or PM feedback. I mean like time-based feedback. So it's really hard to visualize exactly what is happening with these things. Let me turn this down a bit quick. Sorry about that. This one gets pretty wild pretty quick. So if you're wondering, what on earth is this possibly useful for? I don't know. I just thought it was interesting, so I made it. It's weird. It's a super, super weird thing, and I kind of like it. It stinks. So what good is it for? I don't know. You decide. So after that, I actually decided to make something useful in the form of Real Animal. So I couldn't just stop after that. I had to make another FM synth. So here's Real Animal. Oh, it's nice and big. It's just right. It fits the screen perfectly. Center to screen. Oh, that's really, really, really big. Here's Real Animal. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, Real Animal. So it's an FM, sorry, not FM, phase modulation, phase modulation synth. Thanks Yamaha for getting everybody mixed up on those terms. Anyways, with a twist, again, you have a filter before your operators as well as after. Let's walk through one of the operators really quick. So you have, for each one, you can choose an oscillator, its octave, semitone, and fine tuning, all your basics. You have an envelope at the start of it, right, for both the velocity and the filter. Then you have the Real Animal section, which is exciting. I'll explain it in a second. And then you have the out stage where you can do like DAC quantization for like that Mega Drive type ladder filter, ladder effect that happens, as well as a filter on the way out, which you can drive pretty hard with the resonance. So what is this Real Animal section? The best way to explain this, oh yeah, and the matrix, because anything can go into anything here, mostly. So the best way to show you what the Real Animal section does is have one of these operators modulate the other. So we're going to have operator 2 modulate operator 1 really quick. So it's your basic PM synth sound. Let's just want to get like some stuff happening here. All right, so let's add some Real Animal. So we have N speed, N mod, N leak. This is noise. And then we have P speed, P mod, and P leak. These are pops. So I was thinking like, what about a PM synth, but with like analog, like really, really just like out of control, unstable analog oscillators. Lots of noise, lots of like, I don't know, let's say the PCB is like fucked up or something like that. So yeah. All sorts of stuff like that. So we're going to add some of the noise in. First, we're going to add noise leak, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's the noise leaking out into the other operator now. And noise mod will modulate this operator, and then we'll go up to that one. And here you can move between like a slow warble and more like really chaotic kind of noise. Get what I mean? So as well, we have pops. Let's turn on the pop. Let's make some pops happen and turn on the leak. All right, so you hear those? Let's use them as modulators instead. So now they're affecting the pitch of the operator, which goes to affect the other one. Let's use these together. Let's turn on some DAC quantization on this one before it modulates this one. It starts to get very, very pretty. Let's turn on a filter earlier on in it. Let's change this to a saw. Yeah, let's filter it with some kind of harsh resonance. Pretty neat. And that's before this, so we're filtering before we add the noise, and now we can filter again after. We could maybe do like a band pass over here, see what happens. And that's just with 2 operators happening. Look at how much stuff we can still do. We have 2 more of these. We can self-modulate, of course. Yeah, I'm really proud of this one. And you don't have to necessarily use this as a PM synth, because you can output each of these on their own. So I can let's just send this one out instead. So there's our second one. We can send them both out. So you could even just use this as a 4 oscillator, just really grimy sounding synth, right? None of this is even necessary. Let's do it. Let's turn off any of the modulation. Let's set these both to saw. Let's set this to and we can start to detune some of them. Yeah, sorry about the clipping there. It's going a little hot. That's a real analog synthesis. Okay, yeah, and the last one is called Illogic. Oh yeah, let me show you something. Let me show you the synth edit thing for the FM one. It's the only one that isn't an absolute nightmare. Look how neat and tidy I was with this. Get this out of here. Look, I have all the operators containerized. Oh, it's so nice. So here's one of the operators and the ADS, it's all containerized. Check out the noise circuit. It's huge. All this does is generate the noise and clicks and pops. This is all that. And there's 4 of those things. This thing does a lot. It's a lot of processing. It's cool. I'm really happy with it. This is Illogic. What is the right volume for this thing? Hold on. Let me just turn it way down first. Illogic is a 2 oscillator monophonic synthesizer, which down here has 4 outputs. You have a sub oscillator, which is it's just a sine wave that plays 1 octave lower than everything else. That's all it is. Then you have 3 more outputs, and XOR. So these are logic gates, and what it does is it takes this oscillator, which is all this stuff over here, and this oscillator, all this stuff over here, and puts them through that function. Now, before it gets put through those, it has a filter, it has tuning, it has filter types, different oscillator types, it has LFOs for the filter and pitch. It has all of that on each of these, as well as you can frequency or phase modulate the other one with it, and that's all before it goes through the logic gate. Down here, you have an assignable ADSR as well per oscillator, so you can say I want this to be affected by this on this side and this on this side. It's just this is basic stuff down here to control each of these again before going through the filter, and that's the exciting part. Sorry, the logic gate, and that's the exciting part. It spits out all kinds of just gruesome sounds. So it's mostly designed as a baseline synth because it's just so heavy. pretty outrageous. So you can also amplify these before. This is like to mix between them. It's not a total mix. It's never 100%. But you can also turn the amp on these all the way down or like overdrive them before they go through the circuit. So right now we're listening to the OR and XOR panned left and right. The panning does weird shit because of the waveforms this thing spits out. I am high passing them on the way out just so it doesn't like completely DC offset, because these functions aren't like just like, oh, I'm going to do that to audio. This is like logic functions. They aren't designed to be used that way per se. So there is a high pass applied at like 30 hertz just to prevent it from completely destroying your mix. Let's listen to the and. It usually turns out kind of like crackly, like fizzy, like barely there type sounds, which I'm quite fond of. It's a neat texture. And OR and XOR are very similar, but like not quite the same. Let me pan them center. You can just double click. So very similar. They are very similar, like logic gates. So it makes sense that they would be, you know, similar outputs. The sub oscillator is just, like I mentioned, a sine wave that actually happens after the filter here and all that stuff. So you can like filter these sounds to be really like specific and not lose your sub bass, which is like, I really wanted to get those grimy kind of like higher resonances, but keep the low end. So that's what's happening down here. As an example, let's switch to a band pass. So you can do that type of filtering while still keeping your low end there. But yeah, mostly it's just gruesome. It's like absolutely nutty. Yep, that's ill logic. We can take a quick look at that one as well in here. This one's particularly funny because I just wanted to make a quick logic-based synth. It's like, oh, that would be a lark. And it very quickly became, because I wasn't containerizing anything. I was like, oh, it's not going to get that big. Okay, it got really bad really quick because it just, I wasn't expecting to like throw all this shit in here. But yeah. It got really bad really quick. So nothing is containerized because I'm a fool and didn't foresee this happening, but hey, it happens. Again, I know where everything is, so it works for me. That's all that matters, right? When your code or your wiring makes sense to you, it's not user serviceable. Oh man. No, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I've been up to for the past week. It's been a total blast learning this program. And putting together some stuff to use in my work, and especially on the current project I'm working on. Yeah. So again, these will be, once my new project is out, they'll all be available for free. That's all. Cool. I just thought I would show you because I'm proud of it and it's cool and it's fun. I'm proud of it and it's cool and it's fun and I'm proud of it. All right. Peace out.